A big deal is likely in the IPL ecosystem. What we understand is Royal Challengers Bangalore owner Diageo is likely to sell its stake, and among the buyers, the frontrunner is Adar Poonawalla. Now, we're joined by Suhel Seth, who is obviously a strategy consultant to corporate India, an advisor to corporate India at large, and obviously an observer of this space as well. Suhel, thank you so much for joining in. The first obvious question, brand RCB, fairly strong. If you could explain from both the buyers and the sellers' perspective, what is in it for Diageo, who's just won the championship, sitting on a near $2 billion worth marketing project or an asset, so to say? Why would they want to sell it right now? And from a buyer standpoint, if they're looking to buy it, what is it for them at these prices?
So let's go step by step. I think Diageo, under its new global CEO, Nick Jangiani, has now become a very focused company on its spirits business. It sees a huge opportunity for the spirits market in India. Its brands are doing remarkably well. It has withstood all competitive pressures. And India, as you know, Mangalam, is not an easy market, especially for spirits, for the entire liquor business. But Diageo has been able to navigate it very well. If you remember, in many ways, the RCB acquisition by then Vijay Mallya was more a vanity product more than anything else. It wasn't for the reasons because the category was dark. So the reasoning for that versus the reasoning now has, to my mind, slightly altered. A, B, if you look at Diageo's entire focus, and they've been really remarkable in the way they have created their assets. They've shelved a lot of the low value assets. So in my way of thinking, from a brand perspective, Diageo is doing what it does best, which is selling, branding, marketing great liquor brands. IPL, as you and I both know, has risen both in esteem and popularity like no one imagined. Brands that were bought for a fraction of the money are today valued anywhere between $1 and $2 billion, which is a significant achievement for any brand if you look at it both in terms of appeal and ROI. So I think for anyone, an acquisition of an IPL brand is formidable. It has worked. You have seen that even late entrants like Sanjeev Goenka have successfully harnessed and reaped harvest from their IPL acquisitions.
That's very interesting because, you said 2 points here. One, Vijay Mallya bought it as a vanity project, but he claims that it was more of a branding vehicle for, his alcobev business. You can't deny the valuation that has been created out there. $110 million is what he paid when he bought it 18 years ago. And now the reported valuation, like you said, between $1 to $2 billion each. So, would it be prudent for Diageo to continue to hold on to this valuable asset?
Not necessarily. And Mangalam, the question that you ask has two answers. Number one, would it be relevant? It may or may not be, because see, a lot of businesses look at their focus from a core marketing perspective. And then they don't want the surround sound, which is fair. Also, remember, as you rightly said, it has increased in valuation. So it actually might be a very clever and a very sensible, fiscally prudent thing for Diageo to do if they were to divest their IPL team. I mean, they're getting excellent value in terms of the investment that they placed, and it's a damn good time to get it. Also remember that IPL's valuation has increased, but so has IPL revenues. All the teams have media sharing rights with BCCI and so on. So the teams are also getting an ingestion of funds, which otherwise they didn't have that many funds to access. So in a nutshell, Mangalam, it works for everyone. It works for an IPL owner because, as you said, the franchising capabilities are enormous. It works for the players, it works for the franchise, and it works for the person who's invested that kind of money. So it's actually something which is beneficial to all parties that are involved in this whole IPL construct.
All right, so it's a win-win for the ecosystem, for the sellers, for the BCCI and the cricket ecosystem at large. I understand that. But if someone's unlocking value, it's only because someone else is paying that value. You said teams could be between $1 billion to $2 billion. And this one, obviously, the reports are suggesting closer to $2 billion, which is at the higher end of the range that we're speaking about right now. And even if you look at the very recent past, the last few deals that have happened, they've been between $1 billion, billion and a half when the BCCI auctioned new teams. Even the secondary sale from the Torrent Group to Gujarat Titans was sub $1 billion. So in light of that, how do you view this as a value for the buyer? Near $2 billion. Do you not think it's too much?
See, I'm not the finance expert, but all I can say is that whoever buys at whatever price is prudent, shrewd, and focused enough to extract the right price. Both in this case, both the buyer and the seller. The buyer will not, give a price that is unreasonable, nor will the seller sell at a price that is much lower than what the market can afford. Remember, Mangalam, and you know this better than I do, any investment has a linkage to the appetite of both the buyer and the seller. The appetite of the buyer to buy and the appetite of the seller to sell at a particular price point. So I think the market makes those adjustments based on the ecosystem. And the ecosystem right now is very, very favorable towards IPL and will continue to be so. Cricket is our religion. I mean, cricket is what we are driven by. Cricket and Bollywood, but Bollywood is still regional. Cricket is pan-national. Let me give you an example. Today, if you look at celebrity endorsements, the highest celebrity endorsement value creator is Virat Kohli, cricketer. So, that tells you a lot about how India views cricket and how India views, therefore, the IPL.
Interesting that you say that it's, Bollywood and cricket, which are the two religions of the country, because the last big deal that happened in the Bollywood space was Adar Poonawalla buying Dharma, Karan Johar's Dharma Entertainment. But interestingly, are you saying that, he's emerging as the front runner for this business? Do you think it would be prudent for someone like an Adar Poonawalla to go ahead and buy this asset? Or would it make a lot more sense for maybe some of the Bangalore-based conglomerates to go and, perhaps purchase this stake?
I don't think, the initial functionality of city-linked owners holds. Shah Rukh Khan bought Kolkata Knight Riders and he lives in Bombay. He's never lived in Calcutta, has no association with Calcutta, but now he's created a huge fan base for Kolkata Knight Riders. Likewise, Sanjeev Goenka stays in Calcutta. So I don't think A, the city linkages matter. B, about Adar Poonawalla, I've known Adar and his father Cyrus for almost 20, 25, 30 years. To my mind, they epitomize three things. Number one, in everything they've done it with decency and dignity. Number two, they are great believers in paying the right value for the right product, whether it is Dharma, whether it is, what Adar did with the finance company. And I'm sure they'll bring that perspective and that knowledge and that learning even to their IPL acquisition. If you look at post-COVID, what Adar has been able to do and therefore create, to my mind, the human brand for himself, it has always been largely around two pillars: health for humanity and hope for humanity. And I think in many ways, cricket is an epitome of human triumph, of human capabilities, of human achievement. So there is a logicality to it. I totally love the ironic point that you made, the segue to Bollywood, perhaps. So I don't see it to be any issue. Plus, remember that Adar is now in more than one consumer-facing business. The Poonawalla FinCorp business is a consumer-facing business. So you will see a lot more merit and a lot more extraction of value, depending obviously on what price Adar pays for it. But I don't think there's a brand misfit. I think there's great brand synergy and there's great extraction value from the IPL for the Poonawalla brand, be it in, the health vertical or in the finance vertical or even in the cinema vertical.
All right, now I'll ask you for some strategy advice here on behalf of whoever is buying it. Assume that Adar Poonawalla goes ahead and actually emerges as the buyer. What do you think they should do? Because on the one hand, they might be paying a premium for brand RCB, but on the second, they might also be interested or, keen to change the name RCB because of whatever reasons. But, what do you suggest they should do from here on? Hold on to the legacy of Royal Challengers Bengaluru, change the name, or restart, reinvent the wheel? Because it comes with the risk of losing the equity that has been built over so long.
Good. See, you're making me give free marketing advice. So there are three hypotheses I can offer. Number one, let's say they don't change the name and it remains RCB, Royal Challengers Bangalore. Second is it becomes PB, Poonawalla Bangalore. Third, it has nothing to do with Bangalore and nothing to do with Royal Challenge, and it's a perfectly different name. Look, Mangalam, the issue is consumers relate to brands that provide benefits. Nomenclature alone is not the only beneficial value that consumers either stick to or derive from. So I think the jury's still out. We need to, see what happens. Ideally, you may not want to change the name because, as you said, there is a franchise, there is a fan base, there is familiarity. But then again, it depends on what Adar feels. That, if he really feels that he wants to put the Poonawalla name, then to figure out how do you create it. You could actually keep both, and you could have Poonawalla RCB. So the RCB franchise remains, and you add Poonawalla. See, you're making me do all this for free. If Adar Poonawalla is listening, he should actually be paying me a huge fee for this.
Thanks a lot for that. I will convey this to Adar Poonawalla. But meanwhile, I have to ask you this as we wrap up this conversation. Do you think that, a deal like this, which is obviously going to be a first of its kind, where in a secondary sale, the entire team is sold, not just a part stake sale that we've seen in the recent past as well, would you imagine that this would cause a flutter in the ecosystem where a lot of others also who have made investments in the past would look to unlock some of the value here?
So that's a great question. Now look at the environment of the IPL ownership today. Either they are very solid figures like a Shahrukh or solid companies, whether it's Reliance or you mentioned Torrent, Sanjeev Goenka. I don't think they're in it for the short haul. They're not in it to, cash out yet. And I think the IPL story hasn't been written fully yet. So I don't think a lot of these companies will want to, offload. And the point that you make is very important. If you go back and see what happened to the last time the franchises were offered for, acquisition, there was a time frame that, you had to pay over 3 years or 5 years or whatever it was. Now it's an outright sale. So that should also and perhaps will affect the pricing. So perhaps 2 billion will be too much for a one-off sale, since the earlier people who bought their teams could pay over a 10-year period. So the amortization which happened for those people is not going to happen now because of this circumstance of a secondary sale. So all these things I'm sure will be factored into by Adar, and when he decides to bid or acquire or whatever.
Right, fair point there. Always a pleasure speaking to you, Suhel. Thank you so much for joining in, with the promise that we will keep, keep calling you every time there is an incremental development out here to seek your wisdom and opinion on this one.